So thank you so much for
Yes.
clicking play and joining me on this episode of She Got Next. And I got to say off the top, I have never interviewed a defensive tackle. So I'm super excited to have my guest here today. Her name is Bianca Mouton. She is a defensive tackle for the Seattle Majestics out of the Women's National Football Conference. Bianca, happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday, Olivia. I actually just finished national tryout day for the WNFC, so I'm a little sore right now, but I cannot complain at
That is the
all.
first
So
thing I
yeah,
wanted to ask you about. Yeah, national football trials happened all over the country. And I was
yeah.
wondering about what your involvement is like. I don't know if do you have to try out every year? Have you signed a deal for a year or two? What's the process like?
So yeah, we do try out every year. Some teams are a little different. Apparently, some teams do require like a 2 year commitment, things like that. As far as the Seattle Majestics are concerned, we usually just do just a full year. So that includes, obviously showing up to practices and games, things of that nature, but also being involved in the communities. We have a lot of opportunities where we're able to represent ourselves and the city of Seattle, with doing different youth camps, uh, with different public, private schools. We're invited out. We've actually been invited out to a couple of the Seahawks youth camps that they've had going on to help them out with those as well. So it involves not only being present on the field but off the field as well.
In the community, of course. Well, let's get back to why you're sore. Tell me a little bit about tryout day.
We do like a similar combine style of tryouts. I'm not gonna lie though, after the season ended, I did take a little bit of a break and I was doing more lifting than cardio, and and so yeah, so it was a lot more running than I was ready for, but apparently my times have gotten faster, so we love that.
Yay.
We
It's
love
always nice
that.
to I wasn't really working on it, but somehow I'm better. That's amazing.
Exactly. Hey, everything counts, everything counts. But
It
that just
does.
lets me know that the small changes that I have made, just as far as like diet wise and things like that, are doing what it needs to do. So that makes me very happy for sure.
Yeah, it's paying off for you. So let's go back in
Yeah.
time a couple of years before you found football, because I understand that you played basketball growing up. Basketball was the first love. And as you got older and matured, you stayed active, taekwondo, boxing, which is wild to me. Like clearly hitting is not a deterrent for you when it comes to sports. Like, you stayed in shape, but football wasn't something that you played. But tell me about how you were introduced to the Majestics and set the scene for us.
So 2023, 2024, I was at a Wise event, which is one of the main organizations I'm a part of, Women in Sports and Events. We're at a FIFA showing, I want to say, at Westlake in here in Seattle, and numerous teams and other vendors had like tables there and whatnot, and everybody's connecting and learning about each other. And I see. At first, I thought it was two football teams, but apparently the other team was a rugby team. I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So I go over to the football team because I did not know that we had a women's football team. So obviously, I'm stoked. I'm over there like, "Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm a part of Wise. We didn't know you guys existed. How can we help?" So my initial connection with them was actually, how can we get you guys out there? We didn't know about you, but we want to help. We want to connect with you guys. We want to get your names out there. Can we volunteer with you guys? How can we check out games? All the questions, all the work. And so we're talking, we're vibing, and one of the players was like, you look pretty athletic yourself. We're looking for people to try out. How do you feel about football? And I was like, sure, like, but I don't know like how to play. I know like spectator knowledge. I know
You're
enough
like,
to keep up with a
yeah,
game.
you're like, I've been watching it comfortably from my couch or sports bar for years, but getting on the field, never really thought about
Right,
that.
right. Like that's a whole nother ball game. I'm like, you show me X's and O's right now, I'm lost. Okay, so So, they're like, it's okay. We're doing some, off-season training, so if you want to come out, try, work out with the team, kind of get to know us, build a rapport, and then go from there, then you can do that. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, well, great. At first, I had to hassle them to send the email and the information at first. But once I got through to them to let them know, hey, I really want to do this, it was all she wrote from there. I ended up going to practices, trying out, and then I made the team as a walk-on
But
for the
Bianca,
2024 season.
you've never played football. And I don't, not to, this isn't a slight or anything, but you're not 19, 20 going onto a college football field. You're
You're
early
absolutely
30s, maybe at that point.
yeah.
And you've never been hit, right? So this is tackle football, everybody. It's full pads, it's the helmet, it's the thigh, it's the hip, and people are looking to take you down. But tell me about the mentality. Like, I've never done this before, but I'm willing to put my body on the line, never having this experience before.
It was more of what it stood for. It was, this is something that's being done so young women, young girls can see something in the future for themselves. I actually wanted to play football when I was in school, but was not able to.
Yeah.
It was rare. It was happening a little bit, but it was still very taboo. You know what I mean? It was not widespread like it is now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is a great opportunity. I'm pretty healthy. Why not? But it was really what it stood for. It was the message being sent. It was the walls being broke down. And if I would have known about it sooner, because believe it or not, the WNFC actually started in my home state, in my hometown, and I was really,
Texas, right?
yeah, right in the Dallas Fort
Mhm.
Worth area, and I was like, how did I not know about this before I got to Seattle? But timing is everything, right?
Well, I
Um,
appreciate you saying that. And I'm sorry to interrupt you because I'm going to admit
yeah,
that I did not know about this conference existing. And I'm a big time sports fan. I think I'm a big time, but I'm watching
yeah,
sports all the time. The rest of my life
yeah,
is scheduled around what game is on and what game is
right,
happening afterwards. And the league itself has morphed, right? Like they've sometimes,
absolutely,
like when the women's tackle football league first started, it had a different name and then they blended and then new ownership. So the WNFC has been around for since what, 2016, I think.
hmm
Maybe I got to look that up. I'll edit that into this in the episode. But the Majestics even have been around the entire time.
yes,
They've
yes,
evolved. And
hmm
I've gone to Storm games in Seattle. I've not gone to a Seahawks game yet. I've been to a Mariners game, but I didn't know the Majestics existed. That's why I'm like, you are my first athlete that I've ever talked to in the
yeah.
conference. But so I appreciate the fact that you're saying like it wasn't even just about you getting out there. It was about making sure that other people know that the team and the league exists.
hmm
And
Yeah,
how is it?
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I interrupted you to say like I didn't know either. But like
Yeah.
once you got out there, you said you walked on, you made the team. So tell me a little bit about the next steps. It's like getting your pads, picking your number, getting your jersey. What did that all feel like
I
for you?
mean, it was intense, it was surreal, but it was exciting. The biggest challenge for me was actually the other part. Getting hit for me was not the hard part. It was like, okay, bam, I got hit, that's over with. It was more of learning the knowledge, learning the terminology, making sure I knew the plays, watching film. I still kind of struggle with that now. I'm definitely not perfect by any means, and I respect all these women that have been doing it for the many, many years that they have been doing it. So kudos. So that was really more of the challenge for me because obviously all of us still have full-time jobs. We are working. So learning that on top of having to deal with everyday life was kind of the more challenging part for me.
Well,
The
getting familiar with your role, I understand. Like again, it's
Yeah,
like a lot of women's sports. Well, a lot of professional sports when the leagues first start, like people
yeah.
have day jobs on the off season or they come to practice after work. So I can
hmm
understand like the challenge of catching up. But
Yeah.
for you, I'm wondering, like you're a walk on, you've got coaches there. Were there assignments that they gave you initially? Like, all right, here, Bianca, this is where you're starting.
So at first, it was more of let's see where you're more comfortable at. So they actually tried kind of put me like on the O line at first, on the offensive line at first, and I was like, okay, cool, we can try that out. But then they were like, don't be afraid to speak up if you want to try something else, kind of see where you fit in. I kind of veered more towards the defensive line, and that's how I became a defensive tackle. Um, and once I found where I was comfortable at, then it was easier for me to kind of get into the mode and learn everything and learn my position and all of that stuff like that. The coaches were extremely helpful because they all have experience in football, played themselves, coached. Um, it was actually really easy to kind of get into the position because I had that support, and then the other women around me as well. I mean, they were competitive. Obviously, we're all fighting for a position, but at the end of the day, they were also really helpful with giving pointers, getting on Zoom calls, FaceTiming, extra practices. Hey, we can meet up here to do this. So it was a whole support system all around.
Well, you have gone around the block now, what, 2 seasons? You're going,
Yes,
spring 2026 will be your third season.
yes,
I'm wondering, now that you've been in the trenches for a couple of rounds around the block again, I know everybody has a plan, as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. But I'm
yes,
wondering, I'm wondering,
absolutely.
thinking about the season coming up, you play in the spring, this is spring ball. The
Mhm.
lessons that you've learned in the past 2 seasons, do you have a plan ahead, things that you've learned that you're now like, okay, now that I've had this experience, here's how I'm going to amplify this or do this better or be strategic in whatever way?
Well, absolutely. The first year was like, okay, I'm getting my feet wet. I'm just happy to be here. You're like a big kid. I'm just happy to be here. Yay. Last season, definitely because I was put in a starting position at this point, the coaches were like really pushing me to like, hey, we see the potential. We need you to do what you need to do. And it wasn't, and I'm not gonna say that I'm not good, but I wasn't the best. That's not where they were starting me. The person behind me on the
On the
on the
roster?
lineup, yeah, on the
Mhm.
roster actually was a all star, all pro this season. So it that pushed me to be like, man, that's my next step is I want to be all
Mhm.
pro this upcoming season. So my plan is just to train more, get more training in my position. So just get some more one-on-one training there. And like I said, I've already been buckling down during the off season, just making sure that I'm sticking to, hey, maybe I shouldn't be partying this much. Or if I do go out or go networking and everything like that, don't drink as heavy. Kind of just cut back on certain things. Make sure that I am in the gym like I need to do. Don't get caught up in everyday life and forget what you're working towards.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
really been the game plan to make sure that I don't fall off during the off season because it's so easy to do that, especially when it's not mandatory. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
When you're not getting paid for something, it's easy to be like, oh, it's fine. I got a few months. I can blah, blah, blah. No, this is an all year round thing for a lot of us, for a lot of those ladies. And, I'm upholding that too right now. And so that's really my game plan to just continue to make progress in small steps, and just do what I can and stay in my lane as well.
But in thinking about the fact that we're in the thick of the NFL season right now, I wonder if
Yes.
there are any defensive tackles in the NFL or even in your own conference. Like you said, there have been women who've been playing for a long time. Are there any defensive tackles that you look at and you're like, I'm going to model my game around their approach? And if so, who? Who are you looking at?
Oh man, whew, you put me on the spot there.
I mean, Jalen Carter from the Eagles, like Chris Jones
I
from the
mean,
Chiefs. Like,
I'm looking at them all because they're all in the position of where I want to be. So I'm pulling from everyone. And the fact that you even said anything about the Eagles cracks me up because their defense won that Super Bowl for them. And we were talking about that too. We were like, yeah, you see that? Defense wins championships, baby. So that's exactly the mentality that I'm shooting for. Just anyone that I've ran across, because again, I'm still learning. My heart was not with football, so I feel bad sometimes when I get questioned because I'm like, I'm gonna answer this to the best of my
no,
abilities, but
it's fine. It's fine. Like you said,
but
like this
no,
wasn't a sport that you grew up
yeah,
picturing yourself on the field
yeah,
playing. So, I
absolutely. But
mean,
no,
mhm.
yeah, yeah. So I'm pulling it from everywhere. My teammates, players that I played against. especially people that I've played against, because I'm watching their movements. I'm watching these ladies get these sacks. I'm watching how they're getting through there and getting through the trenches and putting that pressure on the QB. And so I am paying attention. I may not know everyone by name, but I am looking at them and I am paying attention to how they're moving. And just implementing that as much as possible in my own regimen.
I hear you. So yeah, pulling it
Yeah.
from everywhere you can, but also just kind of staying within yourself and understanding that you're
Yes,
still
absolutely.
new, you're still like watching film. You've got, like you said, a day job, you've got other things, other responsibilities, but the commitment that you have to doing a great job for yourself and for your teammates, I think it's an interesting and exciting approach. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the camaraderie you have as a team. What's your personality like as a team? How you approach the game? How would you describe yourselves?
As a team, we truly overcome adversity. We've had to overcome quite a bit last season to make it to the playoffs. We had our head coach fired in the middle of the season, and we had numerous injuries and things like that. But we never let that get us down. We come together. We have a fighting spirit. We have a fighting spirit. It's almost like siblings. It's like, yeah, we can pick on each other, but nobody can come from the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And mess with you, because then it's going down. That's how I can describe us. We're definitely like a family when it comes to getting on that field. Once we're on the field, everything else is, out the window, as it should be, for sure. So
Are you guys a bunch of trash talkers? Are you lining up at people saying, prepare yourself, I'm coming through? Or is it?
that is so kind of you to be so discreet like that. It's something like that, yeah. something of that nature.
Well, I mean, like I've never played tackle football before, and it's kind of been a dream of mine to put on the pads and line up. At the same time, as I said earlier, we all have a plan until you get hit in the mouth. So I don't really know how I'd react to just, the punch, the pop, the smack that you hear. I'm scared of it, but also like I kind of want to try. But I understand the mentality that I think athletes have to have, and especially football players, because you're lining up against people who want to run through you. So you have to psych yourself up. You have to maybe talk some trash out loud to get yourself energized and ready every couple of seconds when each play is, a few seconds long. And I'm talking like I've been there, but
you're absolutely right. And it's funny because at first my coaches thought that I wasn't aggressive enough. And I'm like, you guys have no idea. I'm just real cool right now, but believe me, I can get there for you, And so even on the field, they've had to calm me down a few times on the field, because I'm like, yo, look, hey, and they have had to split me up and stuff too. And it's funny because I am so chill and everything like that. But once you get out there on the field, it's like you get tired of people talking. It's like, why are you like coming for me? And then it's like blah blah blah. And we're gonna keep it G-rated right now, but it goes down out there on the field. Like the ladies, we are not playing out there. So it gets grimy sometimes.
I love that. I love that. And I think the world kind of has woken up to the fact that professional athletes that are women, you're just as aggressive. You want to win just as much. I think the WNFC this past season, I don't know, it's like record technical fouls. And it's like, wow, they're playing so hard, and maybe the refs aren't calling it because they want to see it. I don't know what the excuse is, but a lot of people are surprised by the mentality, like the attack mentality. And I think I would imagine for football, it's on another level because it's ingrained in you to hit each other and talk trash.
I mean, we're gladiators. We're Amazons. I mean, like, if you think about it, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're literally out there. It's the exact same thing, man. So I don't understand why people are so surprised or happy that they're finally realizing that it's not that powder puff stuff that they tried to push on us for so long. And even shout out to the ladies that played in the lingerie league to help break, boundaries down for us, because those ladies were hitting hard and they had barely anything on. They had some shoulder pads and a helmet. Nothing
I,
else? Like knee pads,
wild,
maybe?
Bianca. Wild. Just like crop tops and nothing on your legs. I'm like,
Yeah,
how are you
yeah.
playing?
Like, can you think about the turf burn? Like, God Almighty.
I'm glad we've evolved. I'm glad we've
Yes,
evolved. But yeah, thanks to those people
yes,
who kind of
absolutely.
laid the foundation. So I kind of want to go, I want to go back a little further in time. I listened to a number of podcasts that you've been on and you've shared a bit about your journey. I understand, like we brought up before, that you're from Fort Worth, Texas, and you went out to
Mhm,
Seattle with a one-way ticket, a bag of clothes, an idea to start fresh in Seattle. And when you got there, the living situation that you expected didn't come through. And so you spent some
mhm.
time in a shelter for unhoused folks. And I recall you saying that your grit was tested, your hustle was tested, your faith was tested, but you wouldn't change anything about your story and or about your journey. I want to know why. Why would you not change any of that?
Because it's made me who I am today, and it's helped shape my journey to where I'm at right now. Um, Sometimes you have to get through that storm to see the light and see the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? If I would have left and went back home to it being easy, went back to Texas and just went the easy route, I wouldn't be right here today. You know what I'm saying? I may not have ever discovered the WNFC, even though it was right there in the backyard. So I definitely would not change it. It has definitely shaped me for who I am right now.
I appreciate that. I wonder if there's anything from those years. I mean, obviously, February 2020 was when the world was beginning to shut down because of COVID. People are isolated. You're in
Mhm.
a town that maybe you visited, but you weren't living there before. Are there places that you go to in your mind that help you, from that time period to remind you of what you've overcome and you use that as fuel when you line up against an opponent?
Absolutely. I had never, and to clarify, I had never been to Seattle before. So when I got that one-way ticket, this was all brand new, fresh for me.
I hope you had some
And
sweaters or some jackets because Texas to Seattle is
I
very different.
barely, those jackets were not working. Okay. Um, but no, February in the pandemic, it was a lonely one for me. And I had to dig deep to get through that, and to push through. And I remember actually turning to, I think I was working out several times a day just to get through the day. I think I was, probably running some of the best miles in life during the pandemic. And when I'm on the field, I remind myself of what I got through by myself. And now that I have this family, these teammates beside me right now, what we're looking to accomplish together. And I think about what these other ladies have been through and what they're going through now and how they push through and get on the field every day. You have women that are parents, that are moms, that are wives, that are partners to people that I'm just single, so I can only imagine having to do this with a family. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I pull from all of that when I'm on the field to make sure that I'm giving my 1,000% on the field each time I'm out there with my teammates. So,
I love it, Bianca. I really love it. Now, the last 5 minutes of the show, I like to ask the same four questions. So I'm
okay.
going to ask you a kind of rapid fire. I'm going to do my best to not interject because I feel like I've been interrupting you this whole conversation. I'm just so
Okay.
excited for you. I'm like, I want to put on a uniform. Okay. The first question I have for you is to share with me your first sports memory. It could have been playing a sport, watching a sport on television, maybe in the stadium, but is there a memory that comes to your mind kind of early Bianca, little girl, that comes to your
Oh
mind
man,
kind of automatically?
early Bianca is when I made the basketball team at my middle school. I think I was in the seventh grade. I was at Hanley Middle School, and yeah, that's the top memory there. That's what started the journey.
The
It's like the
athletic
official
journey for you.
journey. Yeah, the official journey there for me. Yeah.
Tell me what you were good at that time, junior high, Bianca playing basketball.
So I was a power forward. I was actually more a defensive player. So I would tell people that I was like Ben Wallace, you know what I'm saying, from the Pistons back in the day. And people would crack up. But I was like more of the coach would be like, hey, Mouton, we need you to go out there, shut this player down. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Ooh.
more of a defensive player, and a lot of my teammates would get upset with me because I did have a little bit of a shot. But when I got in the game, I would freeze. But the defense was never a thing for me, which totally makes sense of why I'm a defensive tackle now. It all coincides.
You're just ready to attack. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. What about a sports movie that you love, that you watch maybe repeatedly, or that you quote? Is there any movie?
Yes. So I want to think about it. I think it was The Sixth Man with Marlon Wayans.
Oh, the new
He
one. Is
died.
that the new one?
No, 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 no. When I think that's what it was called. When I'm hoping that's what it was called. So it was actually based off the Huskies. So there was two brothers. They went to college. One died. Like he was really good at basketball, and they were really good. They were like playing, and he died on the court. But then his spirit came back to like help them win basketball games and stuff. And so I want to say that was the name of the movie. But if anybody knows what it had Marlon Wayans in it. Like he was like the brother that died or whatever. But it wasn't a comedy though. I mean, it was a little bit, but it was like a kind of a drama. And it
Oh,
was
well.
actually, and so I was cracked up because when I realized that the Huskies that they based the team off of was actually the Washington Huskies, I was
Yes.
like, oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, that was one of my favorite sports movies.
I'm gonna have to
Was
look it
that
up.
movie there? Yes.
I'm gonna throw in a clip from it in this conversation because I don't think I've ever heard of it. But I don't mean to laugh if it's just
Yes,
based
look
on
it
a
up.
true story. And but
No,
that's
I don't
incredible.
think it was. I don't know if it's based off a true story, but yes, it was. It's a really good movie. It brings tears to your eyes. It's great. Good stuff.
Okay. Thinking about the people who've supported you throughout your journey, the ups and downs. I wonder if there's a particular person, and it could be a teammate, it could be a parent, a friend, whomever. Typically, I ask in the area of sports, in the industry of sports, someone who you would shout out as the person that helped you get into your jersey, your pads on the team today that's helped sustain you. Anyone you want to recognize at this point?
Um. Well, they're not directly with the team, but I want to shout out my mentor Gina Lambert. She has been my mentor through Wise, and has helped me professionally so much, and has had my back through not only the football journey, but a lot of my journey thus far since I've been here in Seattle on the sports scene. And so I want to give a shout out to her for believing in me when nobody else did, for actually giving me a chance when I didn't even see it myself. And yeah, so shout out to Gina for that.
Awesome. And you mentioned WISE, and like you said at the top, and you just repeated that Gina is part of WISE. WISE stands for Women in Sports and Events. There's a national chapter in New York, and there are chapters all over the country. And I know that you're on a committee there, right? So tell me a bit about
Yes.
your involvement with that organization.
Yes. So I'm a part of the memberships committee. Super excited to be a part of WISE, and on the committee. I actually started off as just a member. I did their mentor mentee um, program, and that's how I partnered up with Gina, was through that program. And so we've been through the rankings together. She's actually over the board of the memberships committee, and on the memberships committee as the lead retainer and recruiter of memberships. And we're extremely involved in a lot of the programming, obviously recruiting members, follow up flip members, ensuring that the membership experience is to the highest quality for everyone. We've
Mm.
actually had an extreme growth through the past couple of years. I remember when we had maybe 30 or 40 members coming to events. Now we're at 200 plus. I want to say about 223 members now,
Wow. Nice.
and growing. And so yeah, very excited about that. Otherwise,
Congratulations to you guys. I feel like
thank
WISE,
you.
as a national organization, chapters are seeing exponential growth right now. People have been recognizing that women have been working in the sports industry for decades, and then women's sports
Hmm.
itself is growing so much. Seattle is an incredible sports town. Seattle is an incredible sports town. You got the Seahawks, the Storm, the Mariners, the Reign. The Mariners, of course, right now are having an historic run. Woo! They play tonight. God willing, they make it to the World Series. The Reign, the women's soccer team there, they just had a playoff berth. Tell me a little bit about the vibe in Seattle with all this fun, this sports town. What's the energy like out there?
Man, it is fantastic. If you are a sports fan, even if you don't like the teams, you can't help but just feel the energy. Like it's ecstatic, and it's always something to do. Like literally, I do like some catering and stuff on the side, and so I was working the night that the Mariners had the 3 extra innings, make it to the next step, and that same night the Huskies had a football game. So it was like, if you weren't there, where were you at? You know what I'm saying? And even at the Huskies game, you have the Mariners game on. So it's going down. The Huskies are smacking butt. You got the Mariners in 3 extra innings. It was just nuts. And what you see on the internet with those crowds, that is real. Yeah. That is not AI. That is not falsified. When I say the struggle is real, if you're working and you're trying to get home, the struggle is real, because those crowds are out there. They're not moving. It's stupid crazy right now to be a fan, but it's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to be in the city, period, right now. It's overwhelming, and it's like that momentum to push all the way through for the Seahawks at this point. The Sounders and the Reign are in the playoffs right now too. So we're just like, yes, yes, let's keep this energy going. So for sure.
So much fun in Seattle. I always enjoy my time out there. And I truly enjoyed this conversation, Bianca. I'm so excited for what you're doing, what the football conference is doing for the Majestics. Yes. Next time I'm out there, I'm going to make sure I'm out there in the spring, and maybe we can run a practice together. I can borrow your pads or something. And
absolutely. And even if not, we have to get you some tickets and come on out and enjoy a game on us, Olivia. For sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations to making the team again, and good luck.
Thank you.
In 2026.
All right. Thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for watching either on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or following along on LinkedIn and Instagram. Please be sure to subscribe and share the show with everybody you've met in your entire life. Until next time.